for a limited time, $1 gets you full access to all the automotive industry news and content CBTNews.com has to offer. CBT News. Subscribe today. Welcome to CBT News with Bridget Fitzpatrick.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to CBT News. I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's Chris Riggins with today's top stories.
Thanks, Bridget. Recent industry reports suggest that customers are still paying well above MSRP despite supply chain improvements. According to J.D. Power, nearly a third of all new cars sold in February were above sticker price, while a separate study from IC Cars found that customers paid an average of $45,296 last month, roughly 9% higher than the MSRP of $41,637. The vehicles with the largest premiums were in the luxury segment, topped by the Genesis GV70, which retailed with an average markup of 27.5%. Nissan is attempting to fix multiple problems at its Japanese factories, which are delaying productions of the new Ariya EV. The car is the automaker's first global edition in half a decade, but only 201 deliveries have been reported since its launch in 2022. People familiar with the matter claim that the disruption is related to the plant's automated design, which also introduced a new system allowing electric, gas, and hybrid powertrains to be built on a single line. However, Nissan attributes the delay to supply chain issues and other logistical factors. Last Thursday, Florida Senator Marco Rubio escalated his efforts to block a partnership between Ford and Chinese company CATL by introducing legislation that would disqualify both parties from earning tax credits. In February, the two companies announced a deal which would see CATL license battery technology to the automaker for use in a new EV factory. Rubio has criticized the deal since its announcement, arguing that China would indirectly benefit from tax incentives in the Inflation Reduction Act. Ford has responded to the senator's criticism by explaining that the new factory will be its own subsidiary, meaning no taxpayer money would go towards the Chinese manufacturer. GM is seeking to cut its workforce through a voluntary separation program several weeks after company chiefs dismissed layoff concerns while outlining a $2 billion cost savings plan. Through the initiative, certain staff members and executives who choose to leave the automaker after several years of employment would be entitled to a severance package, including a lump sum payment and other compensation. The move comes only 10 days after it was revealed that GM was unexpectedly terminating over 500 positions due to unsatisfactory performance evaluations. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next is Kevin Tynan, Senior Automotive Analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence. We'll be right back.
Join the #1 most watched newscast in the automotive industry. CBT News. Subscribe today.
It was another quarter of wins for the OEMs. On today's show, we're pleased to welcome back Kevin Tynan, Senior Automotive Analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence, to give us a recap of the earnings, and we'll also discuss Carvana's woes. Check it out.
So what do you think, what's the prognosis for the balance of the year with those brands?
Yeah, a very different world. Early days, Tesla was not profitable at the gross line, not for very long.
Right.
But as a first mover or that tech company moniker that they put on themselves, they were able to get funding and they were able to increase their market cap and access to capital, even while they were burning cash. And I don't think that the smaller nascent EV makers, the Lucids, the Rivians, and Lordstown, they are not getting that same consideration. Right. So this is going to be ramp quickly and try and generate some scale and get at least profitable at the gross line, if not the operating line, certainly not at the income line for a while. But the problem is that, you're just not going to have as long a timeline as Tesla had.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a problem. And I think what the implications of that is that, right, we need disruptors. If this is a more sustainable drivetrain technology, which is a debate in and of itself, and we have to move in that direction, we need disruptors who come in and they lose money and they motivate the old way of doing things to adopt this new way.
Right.
But what you're seeing is that Lucid and Rivian kind of falling on their swords, and you have the Fords and GMs and all the other large global legacy automakers kind of moving at their own pace.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we may be losing money in this way also, but we have all this other business.
That's right.
To make up for it, to fund it.
Yep.
And you know what? In this, now if you're Lucid and Rivian, you're trying to scale when arguably demand is going away.
Sure.
Which is a worst case scenario. So where the legacy automakers can kind of say, all right, well, let's just do a little bit less of that in this window, and we'll do a little bit more internal combustion stuff or more trucks or, whatever it is that they can do. They have a lot of levers to pull that the small pure play EV makers don't have.
Yeah.
All right, be sure to watch this interview in its entirety right here at cbtnews.com. That wraps up our show for today, but we invite you to join us back here again tomorrow morning for all the latest news and trends impacting the retail automotive industry. And be sure to follow us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.
CBT News, your #1 resource for auto industry news and content. Delivering the news dealers count on for 10 years. Subscribe today and join thousands of other automotive professionals. CBT News, 10 years strong.